Most Australians wear a seatbelt whenever they travel in a car. As a result, we're not seeing as many deaths and injuries from car crashes as we were 30 years ago.
But sadly for Australian children, car crashes are still the #1 killer. And around 1,000 children are seriously injured each year on our roads.
But research conducted here in Australia has shown that if we get children into the right seats for their age, we'll prevent many of these deaths and injuries.
In Australia, we're really good with our babies, but after about 2, most children aren't in the best seat for their age.
The back seat of a car is designed to best suit an adult male, the person least likely to ever sit there. But children need different restraints from adults, and different sized children need different types of restraints. While an adult seatbelt is safer than nothing, it will not provide the best protection for a child in a crash.
Here at the Children's Hospital at Westmead, we see lots of children from car accidents. We see lots of injuries that they have, serious injuries, spinal cord injuries. Some of the children end up on wheelchairs, some of the children end up paralysed for life. And it's important that we try and avoid those injuries if we can. Any injury is one too many, and if we can prevent them, which we know we can, it's important we take those steps. Most crashes happen close to home and doing everyday things, so it's vital that we choose the right restraints for our children and use them correctly every time we travel in a car. Emma was one of the children we saw recently. She was involved in a horrific car accident in which the car was written off. Luckily, she walked away with only a few bruises, mainly because she'd been put in a car seat, the correct car seat for her age, by her parents.
Let's take some time to show just what happens in a car accident. When a car crashes, everything in the car which is not tied down continues to move at the speed that the car was travelling before the crash. Seat belts and other restraints strap the passengers to the car so that they slow down at the same rate as the vehicle. This reduces the force of any impact. It also prevents seatbelt wearers from being thrown out of the car.
Remember this, seatbelts and restraints can't prevent crashes, but they can save lives and prevent injury when crashes occur.
Restraints are one of the reasons we've seen dramatic falls in the road toll since the 1970s. If we want to see this toll fall even further, then we have to make sure children get the best protection possible in a crash. Let's consider what a child restraint needs to do in a crash. It needs to strap the child to the car. It also needs to minimize the chance of the child striking the interior of the car, and the restraint should limit the movement of the child's body parts relative to each other. The best child restraint distributes the forces of a crash over the strongest parts of the child's body. These are the strong bones of the skeleton. To do this, the size and shape of the restraint needs to match the size and shape of the child. There are 3 types of child restraint. The important thing is finding the right restraint and making sure you use it correctly. Babies up to at least 6 months need to be in a rear-facing infant seat. When they can sit up and hold their heads up, babies can travel in a forward-facing car seat, the type with a harness that is built into the restraint and buckle of their own. These types of seats are right for children till they're at least 4 years old. Don't move to the next restraint too soon. These seats make sure the child stays sitting in the correct position for the restraint to strap them to the car and to distribute any crash forces over the right parts of the body. After they are too tall for their forward-facing seat, they can move into a booster seat. A booster seat lifts the child up and ensures that the adult seatbelt aligns with the strongest parts of the child's body. The depth of the seat affects the position that a child sits in. If a small child sits on a car seat designed for an adult, the child cannot bend their legs around the front of the seat. They'll slouch, and so the lap belt will be poorly positioned. Then, when a crash occurs, the soft organs take the force of the crash instead of the strong hip bones. This force can cause internal injuries, including to the bowel, liver and spleen. These can be life-threatening, and they can also cause many problems requiring surgery and long stays in hospital. Children need a booster seat to ensure they sit without slouching and the seat belt sits in a safe position on their body. They should keep using the booster seat as long as they fit in it, but at the very least up until they are 8 years old. Booster seats work best when they have belt positioning straps or guides. If you have a booster with these, make sure your child always uses them. If restraints aren't correctly fitted or used properly, they won't provide the best protection for your child. See a restraint fitter if you're not sure. The RTA can tell you where to find one.
A common installation problem is when the seatbelt or top tether strap is too loose or not buckled up properly.
Sometimes the seatbelt is not threaded through the restraint correctly or the seatbelt is not properly buckled up. It's important that children use the internal harness or the seatbelt properly too. If the straps aren't tight, they won't be effective. Always make sure the straps are fitting snugly.
Sitting up?
Your child may be tempted to put the seatbelt behind their back or to take their arms out of their harness. If they do this, the restraint can't work properly and they may be seriously injured in a crash. Just recapping the right seat for your child. Babies up to 6 months should travel in a rear-facing infant seat. Children up to at least 4 years old should travel in a car seat with an internal harness and buckle. Children aged 5 to at least 8 years can travel in a booster seat. Don't move your child to the next seat too soon.
There are clear ways to keep your child safe and a few things to look out for. See you, kids.
Just remember, you need to get the right restraint for your child and use it correctly and use it every time you travel in the car.